Hello, welcome to the seventh tutorial within the JavaScript series. In the previous tutorial we talked about strings or variable types of strings, or with the data type of string. In this one we're going to continue on a little bit further with strings, and we're going to talk about the methods and properties which come with strings. Now there's different ways of manipulating strings and ways also to save you time to change the strings and to get some details out the string that you may need, and I'm going to show you these right now. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is just come over to our JavaScript file, and we're just going to make a variable of example. Okay, we're just going to say David Thorne, and you notice that there's so the uppercase and lowercase elements within the variable. Okay, so the first thing, let's just for the sake of doing this, let's just do a bit of concatenation, and we'll say, spelling the example correctly, say initial value of example. And just say equals, and we'll just plus it on there, and then just do that. So basically all we're doing is we're saying the initial value of example equals, and then we're concatenating the string on. Therefore the plus sign is saying, hey, what is to the left hand side of me? Is it a string? Is it or is it an integer? It says no. Okay, what is to the value to the right of me? Is it an integer or is it a string? Is it an integer? No. Okay, so all it's going to do is concatenate the two together, and it's going to continue on doing it with the break tag as well. Okay, JavaScript doesn't read HTML, by the way. That just sees a less than, BR, and a greater than sign. Nothing more than that. Okay, so next what we want to do is show you one of the first methods. Or there's two methods which kind of go together. Okay, is making a string all lowercase and making a string all uppercase. Right now, because the string object, okay, originates from the object. Okay, it's inheritable from the object. Okay, we're going to talk about the object in a later tutorial. Okay, but the first thing is that every single time you make a variable of type string, okay, that by default inherits some methods which you can use. Just like here we have document.write. Write is a method of the document object. Okay, it can say, hey, I will write data into the document. Okay, now example is of type string at the moment because we've set it to the type of string. Now we can use some methods within inside of the string object to manipulate or to read that string. Okay, so let's just output this first and see what we get. Okay, initial value of example equals David Thorne. Okay, so now let's come to here, and what we do now is we'll just take this out, and we'll just keep printing it out every single time. Okay, new value of example equals that, and what we're going to do here is we're going to say example, or yeah, no, it's fine. Example equals, and we're going to say example once again. So potentially we're going to override example with the new value of example, and we're going to say to uppercase. Okay, so this here is a method which we're using. Example is the object, and it has a method of to uppercase. Now this is specifically just for strings because you can't make an @ sign a lowercase or uppercase. Right, it's only the generic alphabetical letters which can be used for the uppercase and lowercase. Basically, if it has a variant of an uppercase or lowercase, then it will turn it to uppercase. So okay, now example is this. So we've got new value of example. Let's go back to Firefox here. Okay, now we see new value of example is now all uppercase. Now if we continue on, and we say previous equals, I'm just going to put then we put new. Okay, in here, and just copy example and put example there. Okay, and we're actually going to put example temp. Alright, so once we come down here, we're going to say var example temp equals example. So we're going to store what was in the example before, and now we're going to say example equals example to uppercase. Okay, so what I want to show you is now how we're passing the value of example to example temp, and now we're updating example. So let's refresh it. You see previous, oops, did we do uppercase then? No, we wanted lowercase there. Okay, so now, sorry, I wrote uppercase twice, didn't want to do that. Let's refresh this. So now you can see that example, which was here, is still stayed uppercase, but the new value of example is David Thorne. But potentially this one here is not example anymore, this is example temp. Okay, so we haven't actually affected example, or we've updated example to be lowercase, but example temp is a copy of example, but it's just a copy, which means it doesn't actually collect any of its attributes. It just makes a complete copy of it. Therefore, if we manipulate example temp, then nothing actually happens with example. Okay, now obviously from here we've told example to be updated with the lowercase version, therefore we've overwritten the value that example contains. Okay, so that's quite simple, with the fact that whatever the object, the string is, then it's with a dot notation. Okay, it means that this is now a child property. This is actually a method of string. Now example is of type string because David Thorne, or this text, is just a constant literal of characters. Okay, now if we want to change example here, for example, and we say James Thorne, you'll see that example is a lowercase version of this here, but now we're overwriting James Thorne, or overwriting it to now James Thorne. You see, so the value that was in example previously has been overwritten, but we still have David Thorne here. Okay, but that's that bit doesn't matter. So that's you've got to uppercase and to lowercase. Okay, so we're just going to get rid of that. Now if we want to just get, say, the first letter of the text, then we can use something called substring. Okay, substring uses an index-based searching for it, and it splits it down into different characters. So you've got 0. Okay, this is the 0th character. Then you've got the first character. Then you've got the second. Then you've got the third. Then you've got the fourth. Then the space is the 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th, and then 10th. Okay, with JavaScript, whenever it counts, okay, it always counts from 0. Okay, so 0 is the first element, or 0 is the 0th element. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to say first letter equals, and this is a new variable, and this is going to be of type string. Okay, and I'm going to say example, because this is where we want to get the information from. We'll say dot, using the dot notation, and we're going to say sub string. Okay, you can see here start and length. And what we're going to do is we're going to say from the 0th character, and use a comma to say go to the first character, and return whatever you found within this here. So I want you to go from the 0 to the first. It doesn't collect the first. Okay, this will be the index where it will stop. So it means it will just come to here, and it will start at 0 to the first, and it won't collect the first. It will just collect what it had to that it collected previously. So let's just output this. Okay, come to here, refresh this, and as you see we get D. Okay, So nice and simple. It's nothing more than a D, because that has we've told it to only collect the first letter. Now if we want to collect the first 3 letters, very simple, we change it then to 2, okay, which we want 0, 1 and 2, okay. So we change it to 3 just to show you, and see we get DAV, right? Because this is basically saying this is 0, this is 1, this is 2, this is 3. So that's where it's searching up to, and we want everything before that. Now if we only put it to 2, okay, we're saying that we only want the 0th and the first element. We don't want the second. Okay, so we come here, we only get D and V. Okay. Now, what about if we want to have THORN? Now we know that's 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we want from the 6th, and that's it. We want everything past the 6th. So we can just leave the other one out, and we'll just say from 6 onwards. Okay. And we do this, and then we get thorn. Okay. So when you don't supply the last parameter, okay, or the argument, sorry, then it will just continue on to the end of the string. Okay. Now, what about if we want the last character in the string? Okay, so we want the n. Well, what we can do here is we can either say -1, and that will say, hey, go to all the way to the end and give me the -1th letter in the string. Okay, so come here, see it gives the n. Now, what about if you want to do that without using -1? Well, there's another handy little method, or actually this is a property of the string, okay, which is called length. So we can say we want from we want to get the R and the N, but we don't want to use -1. Well, we can't use -1 because that would only get the -1th letter, but we want the R and the N. So we don't know how many letters are in it potentially. Okay, so what we can do is we're going to say example dot length, okay, is going to return the number. So let's just do one here. Dot write length of string equals example dot length. Let's put a break tag. Okay, so you can see the length of it. Okay, example dot substring example dot length. So we're passing in the length of it -2. Okay, because we want to know that we're going to start from this position here. Okay, so now let's just see what this does. Okay, and as you can see, the length of the string is 11. Okay, and we only asked for the last 2 characters because we took that down to 9. Therefore we're saying, hey, go all the way to the 9th character and give me everything afterwards. So it's 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay, so we're putting 9 in there and say, hey, give me everything else to the end. All right. Yeah. Okay. So then, what about if we wanted from the T? Therefore, we could say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, we want from 6 all the way to the end. So let's just get thorn at the moment. So we're just going from the 6th character. Okay, and we get thorn. See? Now, what about if we only want the TH? Then we can just say we're going to plus on 2 characters to the end. We'll just get the TH. So the second one is the number of elements to get. Okay, so we're basically just saying start at the 6th one and get me 2 characters from there. Okay. Okay, so now that we've done the length, we've got the substring, we've done uppercase and to lowercase. Yeah, I don't think really there's anything else at this level that we particularly need to talk about, because it's potentially there's not a huge. Actually, no, we do index of as well. Index of then returns the position, okay, the numerical number, okay, of where that letter is. So potentially what we want to do is we want to grab the V out of this. So we want to know, hey, which position is the V on? Okay, so let's just say position V equals example, and this is done with index of. Okay, so we're searching for the letter V from index okay, so we're searching for the index of V. What did I do then? Oh, I didn't do anything. What did that say then? I was interested to see what the search value returns the index with the calling string. Okay, yeah, so it's the starting from the placement that we tell it, and at the moment we're just telling it search for the V and start at 0, but we could say start at the second item. So by us not declaring anything in the second argument, we're saying, hey, start here and then bring me back the first occurrence of it, which will get to here. So this should then return 2. Okay, so let's now let's just write this out. Okay, and there we go, 2, because we've got position number 2. We've got 0, 1 and 2. Okay, then we can then turn around and say, well, let's start at position number 1 and move onwards. Maybe we want to ignore the first letter all the time, and we still get 2. You see, now there's also index. Let's have a look. What was it? It's index or at last index of. Okay, so now we can have the last index of. Well, we don't have any matching letters. Let's say that it's Thorn V. Okay, so search value. Whoops, and let's just put it in at the end from index. We don't care. We want it to look at both of them, but we should have now the last element displayed to us. Okay, and as you can see, we get 11. So it's only searched, it's only returned us the last index of that. That's about it for the time being. I mean, it's not totally rocket science. It's basically making a way of turning a character to uppercase or to lowercase. Remember that all of these examples return that property. Okay, so they don't actually modify the string itself. They just return a new version of that example. So it's always making a copy. So when we say example or example temp equals example dots to uppercase. Okay, remember that this is returning a copied version of example, but all in uppercase. So the example itself does not get modified. It's the fact that example temp is now an uppercased version of example. Okay, an example would have still stayed exactly the same. Okay, if we did say, if we did say example equals example dot to uppercase, that would now make a copy of example, but it would overwrite the value of example with an updated version. Okay, now it would be overridden. Now it would be uppercase, like we did in the previous example. Okay, and that goes with all of the other ones as well. The last index of, that's obviously returning a number, an integer, and index of is also returning an integer as well. Okay, so it's telling you at which placement are those letters. Okay, that's it for this one. I hope you've learnt something. String manipulation and these string methods, they're very basic, but you do use them enough to search strings. You know, if someone enters in some data into a form or whatever, you want to be able to validate that form. You want to be able to check, hey, where's the index of the @ sign or the first decimal point, or if there's an index of a certain letter or character, you want to be able to find it and then maybe start searching from there. Now if you want to compare two strings together. Now you don't know whether the person has typed in uppercase and lowercase, but you want to know that the actual the letters in it are both the same. So you just place everything to lowercase and then match both of them to check whether the order of characters is exactly the same. Therefore, if you try to match a small d with a big D, okay, they would be different because they both have different ASCII numbers. So then they would be different. Therefore, if you put them both to lowercase or both to uppercase, you can then make a match to see whether they're the same thing. That's about it. There's more to follow. Okay, with the string methods and properties, this is pretty much it. But we're going to be using these things later on as we move on. Okay, all right, that's it. Thanks very much for watching, and goodbye.